NASA discovers massive 75,000-mile hole in the Sun. It is a revolutionary discovery that has the potential to determine the world's and humanity's futures. Let's have a look at what NASA has discovered. It's all about the massive 75,000-mile wide hole in the Sun. In this video, we'll look at NASA's discovery of a massive 75,000-mile hole in the Sun. Keep watching to the very end to find out more. Hello everyone, welcome to Space Discoveries. Subscribe to the channel for every single detail about the discoveries and the vastness of the space. Also, do not forget to hit the bell icon for new updates. Having said that, let's get started. First and foremost, NASA discovered a gigantic 75,000-mile wide hole in the Sun. If the sunspot were a sinkhole and the Earth was a car, it would drive right into it. This massive sun hole is also so large that NASA has given it the moniker AR2665. The danger with this massive sunspot is that it can produce solar flares, which could result in radio blackouts on Earth. The crippling of our communication satellites, our GPS, and even electrical shortages in some locations are all possible outcomes of this looming nuclear radiation storm. According to NASA, a new sunspot group stated in an interview that it appears to be rapidly growing. But how will NASA see to this? What are the effects of this on Earth? What can you predict from this? Sunspots of this type are abundant in the Sun. However, they are rare. As we approach solar minima, which is a period of low solar activity that occurs around the time you live in your cycle, this sunspot group is the first to arise after the Sun was spotless for 2 days. And it is the only sunspot group visible at this time, like freckles on the Sun's face. Although they appear to be minor characteristics, the dark center of the sunspots is larger than the Earth. If you're unfamiliar with sunspots, they're essentially colder areas on the Sun created by interactions with the Sun's magnetic field. So the more intense the magnetic activities, the more likely sunspots to develop. And here's the problem. When all that energy is released, solar flares in storms erupt, which are essentially huge solar flares, and the result is a coronal mass ejection, or CME. In the hands of a truly powerful one, we could be transported back to the Middle Ages. In fact, on July 12, 2002, the year the world was supposed to end, Earth had a near miss with a giant solar flares, or coronal mass ejections, CME, which was a product of the most powerful storm on the Sun in over 150 years. And the reason you didn't know was that, well, no one told us. So I guess we kinda just slept through that one. The thing is, if we had received a direct hit from that one, imagine the 2-hour outage you went through, which was already bad enough without the internet or an iPhone. Consider a complete global blackout lasting years, which may imply the end of our societal water supply, if not our entire society. Yes, we escaped a bullet, but don't get too excited just yet. According to physicist Pete Riley, who published a paper on the probability of occurrence of extreme space weather events, the chances of a solar storm strong enough to disrupt our lives in the next 10 years are around 12%. Now, 12% might not sound like a lot, and it certainly isn't, if you're playing rock, paper, scissors. But if someone told you that you could win the lottery with a 12% chance of winning, you'd buy a ticket right away. So, sure, we've been hearing for years about NASA and its lofty dreams of sending people to Mars, and how one day we'll all live there and have little human Martian kids, and how Earth is pretty much on its final legs. And Mars is one of our only hope for the survival of humankind. But there's the thing, NASA recently stated that it can't afford to send anyone there. Anyway, according to Associate Administrator of Human Exploration and Operations, William Gerstenmaier, he can't place a date on humans on Mars. And the reason is because of the roughly 2% budget increase we indicated. The surface systems are not available for Mars. He also stated that, while they do not have the funds at this time, they may do so in the future. And that NASA is looking into moon missions, including the establishment of a base on the moon. He stated that if they discover there is water on the moon and wish to conduct more extended operations to examine it, they can support an extensive moon surface program using the Deep Space Gateway. They can keep their attention focused on Mars if they wish to. I suppose living on the moon and living on Mars are the same thing, right? In any case, we'll all be living in some type of space colony. And I'm just roaming around breathing room or Mars air. I suppose the viewpoints differ. AR2665 is a sunspot that is 74,560 miles, 120,000 kilometers in diameter, and can be viewed from Earth. The massive area was initially identified by NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory last week, and researchers believe it might deliver M-class solar flares down to Earth. NASA said in a statement, a new sunspot group has rotated into view, and it appears to be rapidly developing. It's the first sunspot to develop after the Sun had been spotless for 2 days, and it's also the only sunspot group visible right now. It may be the source of several solar flares, but it's too early to say what will happen. While the spot appears to be persistent, it has become a matter of worry. The Sun's magnetic field causes darker sunspots and cooler patches on the Sun's surface. Sunspots form in areas of high magnetic activity, and when this energy is released, solar flares and massive radiation storms erupt. Because the sunspot was squarely facing our planet yesterday, NOAA forecasters estimated a 25% probability of seeing M-class eruptions today. Unless I'm missing something, their speculative prognosis did not come true. Therefore, we'll probably be fine. So, sit back, relax, and marvel at this incredibly cool solar system quirk. The Solar Dynamics Observatory was used to observe the phenomenon. It's a hole in the solar crown, a regular occurrence during periods of low solar activity, such as the one through which our star is now passing. The Sun's South Pole and North Pole both have these holes. A hole like this is essentially an area where the magnetic field has opened and the solar wind is hurling radioactive particles into space. Early in November, the phenomena produced beautiful boreal auroras, which were also seen in southern states like Nebraska. As the Sun enters its minimum period of activity, astronomers predict that this phenomenon will become more common in the following years. Such sunspots are a common occurrence on the Sun, but they are becoming less frequent as we approach solar minimum, which is the period of low solar activity throughout the Sun's regular, about the 11-year cycle, the US Space Agency noted. They appear to be little features, like freckles on the Sun's face, but the size is relative. The dark center of this sunspot is larger than Earth. The solar flare was captured in the footage from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory and peaked at 9:25 a.m. EDT, 13:25 GMT, although no precise advice on the implications on Earth was given. It is doubtful that the auroras will be intensified because the event occurred on the Sun's lower left limb. The flare was classified as an X1.1 class solar flare, the Sun's second such storm in a week. On April 30th, an X1.1 class flare was released by a different active zone on the Sun, which has since turned away from Earth. The most powerful explosions on the Sun are X-class flares. Interactions with the Sun's magnetic field create sunspots. It's depressing space story day, right? We recently discovered that we are unable to travel to Mars due to financial constraints and that solar flares and fires may occur within the next 10 years. Yes, I'm depressed, but let me know what you think of these stories. Which would you choose if you had to choose between living on the Moon and living on Mars? What will be the consequences of the massive hole? Will there be any effect on the Milky Way? Having said that, that's it for now. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, then don't forget to press that thumbs up button and also that hot red subscribe button as well. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, peace.